Okay, good morning. Welcome to the home buying and investing seminar that we are doing today. My name is Megma with Century 21, and we are going to talk about a lot of different things. We're going to talk about budgeting, we're going to talk about creating our own narrative, we're going to talk about home buying, and then we're going to talk about other ways to create multiple sources of income. So first, um, I'll introduce myself. My name is Meg Mott. I'm with Century 21. I'm a real estate broker, um, and I can help anyone with home buying, selling, and investing. And if you scan this QR code while you're watching this, you're able to say, I'm buying a home, and you can put your first name, last name, email address, and phone number, and you'll get hooked up to our newsletter. So let's get right into it. Pedro Cejas. I'm going to start off with a story. Pedro Cejas, he was born in Puerto Maldonado in the Amazon jungle in Peru. He went to school, and then, by the time he was in like first or second grade, he had to literally go and live with another relative in another town to get the education that he was looking for. So he would have to walk for days in the Amazon jungle to get to another town because his education was something that was so important to him and his family. Um, and so, then by the time he got into fifth grade, he'd have to go to another town where they did fifth to eighth grade, live with another relative, and then also, same thing with high school and college. So he was born in the 1920s, and he became the first pediatric dentist in Peru. Now, I'm so proud to say that this is my grandfather. And so what's so important about education is that education and the desire to do something more with your life creates a generational ripple effect. And so I'm so excited to share his story. And not only did he have a belief in education, he also had the belief in himself. So I want us to take a second and think about the self-limiting beliefs that we have. Have you ever been told that you are not good enough? Raise your hand. Have you ever been told that you'll always be the same, that you'll never change, that you can't change, that you won't change? Yeah, myself included. I was diagnosed when I was in first or second grade with a learning disability, auditory processing, and definitely have ADD, if you know anything about me. And so these are all negative things. I was told by the system that I didn't fit in the system, that I wasn't good enough, and that I was disabled, literally. So whatever these beliefs that have been told to us, we at some point probably internalized them and really thought that they were true. So I'm going to really pressure us to create our own narrative. So in one of the sheets, and I will give this to you, but I want you to write down, what is your self-limiting belief? Is it, I don't have enough money? Is it, to buy a house? Is it, I'll always be poor? Is it, I'll always be struggling? Whatever it is, I want you to write that down. Okay. And we're going to get back to this. So the educational part. Education starts here. You're listening to this talk, which is amazing. You're taking the time to do this. But education does not mean in a traditional sense. I can share with you free Audible books. That means when you're driving your car, going to work, when you're running, when you're doing whatever it is you do, you can be listening to different books. So the first book that I'm going to recommend is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert. He's amazing. Also, you should follow him on Instagram. I love what he does. So once we're going to get into this different narrative, okay, we're going to create our own narrative. So I took this idea from Damon John, who is from Shark Tank. And he says that every night before he goes to bed, he writes down 10 of his goals. Now, these goals can be 1 to 12 months. They can be 1 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years, whatever timeline you want to put on them, you can. And the idea is to actually write them down before you go to bed every single night. So basically, we're going to make our dream into our reality. So we're literally going to be subconsciously, the people that told you weren't good enough, we're going to start doing the things that we want to do, right? We're going to create our own narrative, our new narrative. And by doing this, it allows us to come back to our goals that we're setting for ourselves and the things that are important to us. So these goals can be anything from relationships with others, relationships to yourself, financial goals, real estate goals, new income goals. So I'll share with you my goals, the ones that I'm writing down. So my first goal is to be more grateful, have more gratitude, give more love. And that's really, being a mom. Sometimes it gets tough with, 2 kids and being a, full-time businesswoman, and just really making sure that we're being present in our lives, being present in their lives, and really being the mom that I want to be. So that's my first goal always. And, every time I write this down, it really allows me to think about throughout the day that I do need to be more grateful to everyone in my life, everybody that I come in touch with, whether it's even, paying for somebody's coffee, just perpetuating that energy, I feel like is super beneficial. So the second thing I want to do is, these are my goals, is to set 10 appointments for a buyer or seller each week. Then my goal next month would be to do to get the Relentless Award. That's $150 million in sales. So for our Century 21 Northeast, it's a little award that we recognize for people who've done, this amount in sales. And for me, it's something that I would like to persevere. I want to get that. So that's awesome. I think I can do it for January. I'm looking to save $30,000 to buy some property. And then I would love, my longer year goals are to do buy a house every single year. And then next year I would like to try to do like a condo conversion or a flip. Just because I do a lot of new construction, and actually one of my coworkers was like, you're always going out there talking to developers, begging them for the business. Why don't you be the business? Like, you do it, you flip it, you whatever it is. And I think I'm going to do a condo conversion. So that's cool and exciting. And then I'd like to get more state to state referrals. So I obviously, when you work in real estate, you get commission based off of the houses that you buy or help buy or sell. And when we refer out of state to other agents, I'd like to increase that. And then the one thing I would like to do, hopefully by the end of the year, at least buy one ATM. Now this is a way to create additional resources of, sources of income, and they're a minimal investment. So an ATM can cost you about $2,500 to purchase, and then you can make anywhere from profit $400 to $1,000 a month, which is exciting. And who wouldn't want that? So, if I were able to get, let's say, 4 ATMs, and maybe they're making each another $500 a month, if I could create another $2,000 of passive income each month, that would amount to $24,000 for the year. That's something that I'm into doing. So your goals can change. They don't have to be, they can be anything that they want to be, whether that's getting your credit up, whether that's, working on your relationships. So I would pause this, and I would take about 5 to 10 minutes to do this. And so you're going to write 1 to 8 or 1 to 10 and timelines. And then this is something that you're going to start writing every single night before you go to bed. This is important. We're going to put our dreams into our reality. Okay. So now, once we've created our narrative, now we're going to talk about budget, and we're going to talk about our numbers. And now, I am getting better at my numbers in terms of personally my budget. So this is something else I want you guys to go through. Get a sheet of paper, and I want you to write down your numbers. So these are your expenses. How much does it cost you for your car? That means payment and your insurance. How much monthly? So I don't have a car payment anymore, which I'm very happy about. But my car payment used to be about $250, and my insurance is $100 a month. So $350 or $325, whatever it is. Food. I spend about, and we were talking about this at one of the talks that I did, but everybody's spending about $800 to $1,000 on food a month. So these are our monthly numbers. We're not going to talk about a week. We can start with the monthly, and then we can break it down for the week. Now we're going to look at how much is our rent, how much is our mortgage, okay? So for instance, our mortgage is $2,200. Our bills, gas and electric, are about $400. So for that one, I'm going to put $2,600. Now, what about your healthcare insurance? How much is that costing you? Crazy amounts, probably $600 a month for most people. And then what is your childcare? How much is that costing you? So my childcare is around, for the entire month, is around $1,200 a month, which is actually very good. How about your gas? I would say I'm about $300 a month. Some things that I didn't include here were do you have a pet? How much is the pet food? How much is the pet insurance? How much does your pet cost you even, throughout the year? Then the other thing is, how much are you paying in your monthly credit cards? I want you to also think about how much you actually owe in your credit cards. So write that down separately. And now we're going to add all that up. What do we have left at the end of the month? What is extra at the end of the month? If there's anything. So I want you to then also, I want you to take your income and look at your expenses, and we have to see. So we're going to subtract our income minus our expenses and see how much we have left. The majority of us, I know a lot of us, don't have a lot left over. If you actually, once you do your numbers, I feel like most of you will be shocked. So where can we cut back a little bit? Where can we not spend? I am notorious for if I like something, I'm going to buy every single color of it. No joke. So why do I do that? I don't need to do that. It's not necessary. It doesn't bring me joy. And I'm impulsive. Obviously. Okay. So this is super important. So we're going to get back to, the mortgage and our bills and the things that it costs us for our housing. Another thing is landscaping. How much does your landscaping cost? How much, whatever else you have extra, just make sure you're adding it on there and you're adding that up. So a great, wonderful book that I would 100% recommend is called The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey is all about saving money, being able, just even starting off with like $1,000 that you're going to save, and have in your savings for like a rainy day. But I want to make sure that we're all, making sure that we have enough money, to cover our expenses. Like, what happens if somebody loses their job for a month or two? Do we have enough money to be able to cover these expenses? Now, this was something that was really, important to, it should be really important to every single family and every single household. And you'll begin to just be a little bit more conscious, a little bit more present about the things that you're spending. And remembering that what is our goal? Like, we want to save money to be able to buy a house. We want to save money to be able to buy a house and have some extra. So as long as we can consciously think about where our money's going, where we're spending it, then we'll be more deliberate in what it is, how we're using it. Okay. So I am all about creating multiple sources of income. So what is one of the best ways of creating multiple sources of income? So we found out that by doing our numbers, we're probably not making enough money, really. So what are ways to increase that income, right? We need to increase our income, decrease our expenses. So one of the ways to create another source of income is through real estate. So some of these initial investments can be literally 0% down. That means zero money down, up to 3%, 5%, 3.5%, 10%, whatever it is that you have to invest, you should invest. So, but if you have, no money down, there are programs with that, but the budgeting is going to be super important for you as well. So let's talk about real estate. Why is it important? And the first thing people are going to say is they're going to say, like, I don't want to own, I don't want to be a landlord, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. Well, you should. So whenever you're going to buy a property, I 100% recommend trying to buy a 3 to 4 family property. 4 family, if you can find it within your price range. Why a 4 family? Okay. So 4 families, let's say that each family brings in $1,000 a month in rent. That means you're bringing in $4,000 worth of income, less your expenses, obviously. But why is a 3 family like not as good as a 4 family? Because if you have a 3 family, then you're only bringing in $3,000 a month, right? So, we like to have more doors, right? So here we go. So we have $4,000 now that we're getting in income. And what I always like to think about is you always want money passing through you. So you get a little bit of it, whatever it is, right? Now, that $4,000 that you're getting is literally, it's getting paid towards the mortgage, taxes, insurance, your water, your sewer bill, and your repairs. Now, if you live in one of the units, you're going to be making $3,000 per month. So you are going to live for free. Why don't we go back to like how much we're paying in rent? If we could use that extra $800, $1,000, $1,500, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. And then we could literally save up enough money for the entire year to buy another property. So something I want you guys to remember is when you're buying real estate, it doesn't mean it's like your forever house. Okay. You can move out of the property with an FHA loan. It's a first time home buyer loan, 3.5% down. You can move out of that property after a year. You can also, tell the FHA that, listen, I had a house, I had a baby, I need a bigger house, I moved, I need to be able to buy something like, you can buy a single family and still put 3.5% down. So that's amazing. So I always suggest that your first real estate purchase is your 4 family, and then you go to your single family. That's how you got to do it. So the other cool thing is that now we have, $3,000. Now somebody else is paying our mortgage. They're paying down our mortgage. They're paying down our principal. So what happens when we pay down our principal? So what is equity? Okay, let's take a house. I'm gonna make these easier numbers, but let's say the house is worth $500,000, okay? And you owe $400,000 on the property. So $500,000 minus $400,000 leaves you with $100,000. You have $100,000 of equity, okay? That's money. It's like fake money. It's money that if you sold your house, that's how much you would make. But what can we do with this equity? We can actually like get a loan for that amount. And they do 90% loan to value, 80% loan to value. That is called a HELOC. It's called a home equity. I think it's called a home equity line of credit. So this is just this. So basically, you'll be able to not take out the full $100,000, but even if it's $50,000, you'll have $50,000 of a credit line, okay, that you were never able to have before, right? So you can either use it, you can leave it open, but the only time that you're ever supposed to use this HELOC, this money, is to buy more real estate. Do not buy a car. Do not buy a car. Okay. Do not do it for your home renovations. You can't afford it. Right. So we always want to make sure that we're having our money make more money. Okay. We're not using it. So we're leveraging our asset, which is something that's good, versus a liability. Liabilities are things that, like a car, that's a liability. But things that are not making us money. Okay. So that's one way to create multiple sources of income. Now, let's keep diversifying our incomes. I always say continue to buy more real estate. Real estate has huge tax benefits, especially when you begin to buy more real estate. And you will have tax deferment, which means you're not going to pay capital, taxes on your capital gains, which is huge. So, and creating other multiple sources of passive income, like I said, an ATM business is great, but nobody becomes rich quick. It's just these small things. So, is an extra $400 a month going to make you or break you? No, but if you continue to have that, that's one bill that's getting paid for. Maybe that's your car payment. Maybe that's your, half of your food bill. So, as long as the little things matter. So we always want to say, what's better, one source of money, one source of income, or multiple? Is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Great. Okay. So now we're going to actually get into home buying. What is the thing that is holding you back? I think for most people, it's their credit score and their down payment. So the first thing you have to do is you have to know what your credit is, right? And the way to know what your credit is to go and do an application through a loan officer. They'll be able to pull your credit and they'll be able to tell you where you need help. So the programs that I'm going to talk about today need about a 620 to a 660 credit score, and 620 or 660. And I'm yawning to my own thing. I didn't have my coffee today. All right, so even if you're at a 600, you can still reach out to me. I'm sure there's other programs that are available for those credit scores. So the thing is once we start looking at our credit, we have to make sure that we're not doing late payments. That is really, really, really huge. At least call your bank and let them know hey, I'm gonna make a partial payment. Can you not, put it on whatever can you not report it? And then a lot of people think oh, you have to get your credit cards to 0. And that's not necessarily true. So they, you typically want to get your credits, your amount of credit or your availability, you want to get it to under 20%. So that's the only credit that you're actually, you actually owe. So you don't have to go all the way down to 0. And a lot of credit companies, they don't want you to go down to 0 because they still want, it's I don't know, it's some weird system that they have, the credit system. But they don't want it doesn't help you to necessarily go down to zero. So just make sure that you're getting everything under 20% of your total, of the amount of credit that you're using. And you don't have to do it alone. Like, it's obviously, like, credit is embarrassing. Like, I've definitely had to deal with my credit, and just face it forward, and then you can set up the things that you need to do. You can create a plan to get it up to be able to buy your house. So you don't have to do it alone, okay? Now, there are other like credit repair companies, but they're still like $100 a month for 6 months. So I know that, you can, you just have to get started, know where you are, and know how how you're going to get back to where you need to be. So, are you worried about the down payment? So there's tons of different programs, obviously. There's 0% programs, and I'm going to go over a bunch of different programs. There's 3.5% programs, that's FHA. There's other conventional programs. So there will be a program out there. You just have to call me and ask me and tell me where you are, what you're looking to do, how much money you have in the bank, and we can do it together. So we want to make sure that 30% of our income is for housing. And I'm sure that most of you, when you were doing your budget, your housing costs are probably about 50%, and that's what they are for most renters. So we're really going to try to make sure that we're at that 30%, just to make sure we're setting you guys up for success. Okay, so I am so excited about this program. It's through Rhode Island Housing. There are only 4 spots left. I want to take all of these 4 spots. I want people to learn about it, to use this program. People asked me the other night, 4 spots left, what does that mean? So this is a $25,000 grant. So there's only like $100,000 left in this program, right? 4 spots left. So how does this program apply to you? Okay. You must, whatever property you buy, you have to live there for 5 years. Otherwise, you will have to pay it back. This $25,000 grant is a forgivable grant. You would literally take it off of the purchase price. So that means you buy the house for $275. Now the house is $250. That's amazing. You have to currently live in Providence, East Providence, Pawtucket, Woonsocket, parts of Newport, and Central Falls. The eligibility for you has to be that your mom and dad never owned a home. They were foreclosed upon. They had a short sale, which means short sale is when your house was, you bought it for $500,000, you still owe $500,000, and you were only able to sell the house for $400,000. So it was a loss of $100,000. So that's what a short sale is. And then the other thing is if you were ever in foster care. So I want you to think of anybody, like your friends, your family, somebody you work with, somebody that's at your work, who this might apply to, because it's a huge, huge, huge benefit. Now, your credit score has to be a 660 for this, and that's mid-range. So when they take your credit, they take 3 credit scores. So this has to be the mid-range score, the 660. Now, your income limit. You can't be making $200,000 a year as a household and be able to get this. Your income limit has to be $113,000 for 2 people, which I think a lot of people, will be able to be eligible for this. And then for 3 people, it's up to $130,000. Excuse me. Now, along with this program, this is so cool. They have the Home Secure Grant. So they give you 3 months of mortgage payments. They set it aside. Okay. Now they set it aside for any repairs. Let's say, for instance, your heating system blows. It's done. It's a huge cost. And not everybody has the ability or the money set aside to be able to repair that. So as part of this program, they would literally set aside 3 months of payments. So you wouldn't have to pay for 3 months if you have something, catastrophic happen on your house, or you need a new roof, whatever it is. They'll set that money aside and use it for repairs, Or if you don't use it, I think it's like 3 or 5 years if you don't use it, they will actually put those 3 months of payments on your principal, on top of your principal. So I don't know, even let's say your mortgage is $2,500 for the month, you're getting an extra $7,500 for an extra $7,500. So this grant is really, over $30,000 of free forgivable money, again, unless you move. So very cool. Now, if this does not apply to you, if this is not who you are. Oh, and the other thing is, when you use this grant, you do not have to purchase in these towns. Okay, so if you live in Providence and you want to live in Westerly, if you live in Providence and you want to live in Cranston, if you live in Providence and you want to live in Warwick, you can buy wherever you want to buy. Okay. Now, if you have a 660 credit score and you weren't in foster care and your parents owned a home, here's another great program: $10,000 down payment assistance. So if you don't have enough money for a down payment, but you have money saved, okay, we want to make sure you have some money saved, you will be able to use this as for your down payment. You will need to pay this back though once the home sells. So make sure that when you go to sell your house, you keep in mind, or tell your real estate agent, like, hey, listen, I used the 10%, down payment assistance. Make sure that you're subtracting that from the net, which is the amount of money that you'll be walking away with after the sale of your home. So you can only use this for your down payment. You can't use it for your closing costs, and closing costs are a percentage of the loan amount. It's what the bank charges you to lend you the money on top of the amount that they're charging you. So that amount can be, typically a minimum of $5,000 up to $10,000, let's say. So closing costs, you won't be able to use this program to cover your closing costs. But now, because the market is slowing down and all the prices are going down, so it's a good time to buy, you'll be able to roll your closing costs into your loan, which means the seller can pay for your closing costs. And for this one, you need a 660 credit score. So the other program I have this is also the Rhode Island Housing. This is a $15,000 assistance program. This is for down payment and closing costs. Again, if you just need, and this one is for a 620 credit score. So if you don't have the 660, this is a great program to use. And it's $15,000 towards the down payment and the closing costs. This is a loan that will be paid off each month once you close. So you have to remember that this is something that you're going to continue to pay off each month. It's going to be a secondary lien on the property. So what is a lien? A lien is when you go to buy a house, you're not buying the house. The bank's buying the house. Okay. So whatever Flagstar or whatever bank is going to be the real owner, just like, the title of your car, right? The bank, or, unless you buy it cash. But once you pay off the house, then you're able to, then it's yours. And we're going to talk about some really cool stuff that once you own the property for 30 years and you don't have any more payments, how you can become the bank. So then we also have FHA, 3.5% down. Those are, I believe, credit score around 620. And then if you are a veteran, if you served our country, you have also 0% down programs, which is absolutely fantastic. And again, always buying the 3 to 4 unit. Please, 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 please. If it's the last thing, if it's the only thing you do, if it's the only thing you learn. Now, I know you guys are all wondering, oh, well, what's going on in the market? The prices are so high. The prices are not so high anymore. They're coming down. Every literally email that I send out to my buyers, lately have been price reduction, price reduction, price reduction, and by 20,000, 30,000, 50,000. So it is a good time to buy. Are the rates a little bit higher? Yes. But they are coming down. But at this point, you're not going to be overspending, right? Like people were before. People were spending $50,000 over what the house is worth. For me, I never told any of my clients to do that unless it was absolutely like necessary, unless they were getting a divorce, they needed to move, what have you. But I will not tell you to spend more than what the bank is willing to even lend on. So anyway, I'm like, I tell all the people who overspent, I'm like, I hope you don't get a divorce, or I hope nothing happens, because then you're going to be underwater. So the prices are coming down. Now, home buying. Okay. So what is the process here? You're going to hire us as your real estate advisor. And I have there, the second thing is to get pre-approved, which we will do because either way we need to talk to a loan officer. We need to see where your credit is, and we just need to get the process started, and we can also begin your search. So even if you're just wanting to know and thinking about it, I can begin, and you say, listen, I work in Warwick and I want to drive, I only want to be 20 minutes from where I work. So we'll be able to create a profile for you that kind of matches your needs. And you'll get emails once a day or once a week, however many times you want to get it. And to just start perusing, checking it out. So we can do that even before you get pre-approved. But once we start to look at homes, you are going to need a pre-approval, because it would be like going shopping without a credit card or any money. So we're not going to do that. So once we find the house of our dreams, we are going to make an offer, and we're going to do it on something called a letter of intent. And that's going to have the purchase price, that's going to have our down payment, how much our mortgage is going to be, when the closing is going to be. And I always, 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 always recommend getting a home inspection. So that brings us into, once we make the offer, we get it accepted, right? We go to purchase and sales. Purchase and sales is a contract between the buyer and the seller. It's a 4-page document. I will go over it with you when we are signing it. And it will go over, again, what the cost is, how much you're putting down, that's due, that you'll have an inspection, what's going to happen with your deposit, and just the whole contract. So we'll go over that once we get there. Now we're gonna, once we do that, we're gonna inspect the home. So we're gonna hire a home inspector to go crawl through the attic, to go check every light fixture, to go do everything that needs to be looked at on the property. And once we get that full report, it's going to be a 50-page report. And this is really for you as the home buyer to get to learn about your house. So I always recommend, whenever you're going to talk to and go and you have your inspection, make sure that you are going with the inspector and looking at everything and learning about what it is you need to do. This is your house. And that's something else I want to go, talk a little bit about as well. Is I'm not going to find your house. Okay. You are your own person. You have your own likes. And so you're really going to be the one that is searching for your home. Okay. My job is to negotiate the best price, negotiate your repairs, get us to the finish line and get you in your dream home. So make sure that you don't put that on me, because I'm going to be looking, you know what I mean? But you have to look for your house. It's yours, you're owning it. This is a big deal. So, all right. So going back to the repairs, we will negotiate the repairs. So we'll get a 50-page document. It's going to pull up everything that's wrong with the house. You and I are going to go over what are the big ticket items that we're going to need to address. Either you can get them done at the before the closing. So if it needs a new roof, they can put on a new roof. If you want to hold money back, If you want to you can take it off the purchase price. So there's a lot of different things that you can do when you're negotiating repairs, or you can get a check at the closing table. So then we have to make sure that we get our mortgage contingency in place. So that's typically a week to 2 weeks before the closing date. Mortgage contingency means that the lenders have pretty much, they're going to fund you for the property. They're going to fund you. So the other things that need to happen is you're also going to have to get an attorney, and they're going to run title on the property. They're going to make sure that, whoever's selling the property is actually who's selling the property, that there's no liens on the property. So we have to have a clear title. Once we have the bank is good and the house is good, we're going to have a clear to close. We love those words. Okay. Once we get a clear to close, we're like really all set to go. Then we schedule a final walkthrough. So we walk through the house. We make sure that the heating systems work, that the cooling systems work, that the lights work, that the water's on, that there's nothing dripping. And we do that final walkthrough the day of the closing. And then we get to the closing and you get your keys, and we're going to freaking celebrate. It's going to be so exciting. I'm so excited. And then you're obviously going to write us a fantastic review. Please, seriously. All right. So what are some of the things that we have to think about when we are buying our house? What are some of the upfront costs? Inspections anywhere from $350 for a single family up to $800 for a multifamily. I put in there that an appraisal is $500. I was mistaken. They're around $700 actually now. So I will change that. But you're also going to have to hire an attorney, and that attorney will cost anywhere from $800 to $1,200, and that will be paid out of the closing. Okay. Now, when we go to get our mortgage, when we go to start looking at houses, we're going to go back to what our budget is, right? So we want to sit down with our lender, and the lender is going to approve you for, where they're going to look at your debt to income ratio. So how much debt you have and what's your income. Okay. And they will loan 50% of the money up to you. So we don't want to be at 50%. Remember how we talked about, we really want to be at 30% of our monthly income for our housing. Okay. So our monthly income, we're going to ask the loan officer, like, hey, this is really where we want to be. What houses should we be looking at? What price range should we really be looking at? Okay. Now, what are we going to look at? So when they give us our monthly payment amount, that is going to include, it's called like PITI. Okay. So it's principal, which is the full amount that you owe, right? That's like the amount of the loan that you're taking out. Then the interest on that loan. And that's going to be, whatever percent that is. Then the taxes, then the homeowner's insurance. And your homeowner's insurance is going to be about $1,200 annually. So it's going to be $100 a month, give or take. Okay. Now, we're all about, so we bought our home. We're good. We know what's going to happen. All right. Now I wanted to get into what happens when you own your home for 30 years. What are the benefits? Okay. So now, we're talking about paying the bank, talking to our lender, what have you. There is an opportunity that when you own your property for 30 years, that you can become the bank. Okay. So do you own your home? Do you know somebody who owns your home? This is something that you can reach out to me about and learn more about. And an attorney drafts all of the documents for this. And I have a couple attorneys that if you are interested, if you know anybody who's interested, that you can contact me again. And we can talk about this. So if you own your home, you can become the bank. So consider becoming the bank. You get to choose your terms. Typically, I would recommend anywhere from 20% down payment and up. Okay. So let's say the person's going to give you 20%. Let's say the house is $500,000, okay? They're going to give you $100,000, which is great because it actually allows you to pay less taxes. Anything over a $250,000 capital gain will be taxed heavily. So, if you're selling your $500,000 house, do you need $500,000 right now? I mean, you might not, but this is a really great opportunity. So you get 500, let's say you get $100,000, right? Tomorrow or in a month when the deal closes, right? Then you can negotiate the length of the loan, right? So you can negotiate, you could say, well, I only really want to do it for 1 year. I really only want to do it for 2 years. I really only want to do it for 5 years. I want to do it for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever it is. And then you get to choose your rate. So even if you're like 65 years old, right? And you're like, okay, well, I really don't have 30 years to live, but if I have the $100,000 and I'm now making, $3,000 a month, which is amazing. You can put that in a trust, and once you pass away, that trust would continue to get paid to your kids. So this could benefit your children. So it's just like such a cool idea that we should all be thinking about, and that we should all be leveraging. So I don't know if you've bought a home recently, but if you have bought a home recently, you'll see that once you pay for a house and you go to the closing table, right? And when you go to sign off, it actually tells you how much how much you will actually pay in 30 years for the house, okay? And it's double. So let's say you bought a house for $500,000. You're going to spend $1 million on the house. That's how much you will actually pay. You're not paying $500,000. You're going to spend $1 million on the house, okay? So who wouldn't want to get an extra $500,000 to give to your kids? That's amazing. That's amazing. So, really just think about it. And any concerns that you have, obviously, like people foreclosing, we can go through that whole process and what that looks like. And again, I just think it's a huge benefit to become the bank. And obviously, there's huge tax incentives. And then when you become a serious investor, there's huge tax incentives. It's called 1031 exchange, where you have tax deferrals, which is awesome. So again, you can contact me if you know anyone, have anybody who already owns property, and before they sell their property, they have to do this 1031 exchange so that they don't get hit with capital gains and taxed on. All right, so a little bit about me and how I work, and how our team works is these are the 7 virtues of the Bushido. So the Bushido are samurai warriors, and not only are they warriors, I consider myself a warrior, but these warriors also have integrity. These are the virtues that they live by: integrity, respect, courage, honor, compassion, honesty, and loyalty. Now, if these are things that are not within your parameter, then we cannot work together. This is how I run my business. This is how our team runs their business. And these are the values that we share as a team. Here are some of the client reviews that I've had. We worked with Megan for several months trying to find the home that we now live in. We looked at many houses. She was patient throughout the whole process. We were super anxious in finding a home. And when we started to lose focus, she would talk to us and bring us back to focus. Patient, professional, straightforward, you know it. And she'll definitely be using us. And she used me to buy another property of hers. The other one that I have too is I have the 2 other reviews are from 2 guys who bought multi-units, and we had, not only did we buy the house, I also was able to fill the house with tenants. literally within 2 weeks after he purchased, and he had tenants before his first mortgage payment. So that was great. And I still help him with that. So just a little bit about me and who I am. We, I really love larger scale developments. And I bring this up because in order to sell out a larger scale development, like 8 units, you have to be really good at marketing, and you have to be very persistent, and you have to be in front of a lot of people. So I love, 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 love marketing. And that is really the place that I think I strive. Some of the other accomplishments I've had is we are the #1 team in Century 21 Northeast Cranston, which I'm very excited about. We're also the #3 team with Century 21 in Rhode Island. Last year, I was the #1 broker associate for Century 21 in in all of Rhode Island. And yeah, it's great. I love what I do. All right, so getting into who we are. So we are a team of 4. We have Davey, who is Spanish speaking. He's from Peru. I as well am bilingual. And we have 2 transaction coordinators that work with us, Monet and Amanda. And so they handle getting signatures signed, making sure that all the paperwork is in order. So they are, love them. If I didn't have them, I would die. And you'll be hearing from them, whether on the buy side or the sell side. Davey also has an extensive background in banking, and he will be able to help you with all of your needs. And he's just been in the industry for so long. So he's a wealth of knowledge and really bilingual. All right, cool. So, strategic marketing. Now, when you go to sell your house, these are some of the benefits of using us as your real estate professional. So I am all about strategic marketing. We put your property on MLS, Mass MLS. We have 1,000 realtors that we email our open houses to, are just listed, our price reductions, to make sure that the realtors are the people who have the buyers. So we always want to get in touch with the realtors. And then we also do reverse prospecting, where we identify realtors that are using, that are not using, but they have buyers that are looking exactly for this property. So that's super exciting. And then obviously we'll help you get your house ready for listing. We'll do professional photography. We do open houses, and we do custom marketing and printing for your property as well. Now, social media is the thing that a lot of people, I think you should look at when you're interviewing real estate agents. I have over 3,500 followers on Facebook. So any property that gets listed is getting blasted out, as well as on Instagram. So we really leverage, the people who are going to buy your house, that they need to see it, right? So marketing is about how many times am I in front of you, right? How many times can I get in front of you? And we do that well, consistently, and aggressively. And if you scan this QR code, you can see one of my ridiculously amazing videos that got over 500 views on YouTube, a lot of YouTube videos as well. And you can watch me jumping out of my seller's boat and swimming to her house. All right, so why us, especially when we're selling? These are 2 things that I think are super important. So the first thing that we do is, not only do we get the property under contract, we want to make sure, or at least do our due diligence to try to get it to the closing table. So something that we have implemented forever is our lender questionnaire. So our lender questionnaire let's say we collect offers, right? And we look at all the pre-approvals. We contact the lenders and we say, hey, listen, when was the last time you pulled their credit score? Do they have any alimony? has this gone through an underwriting system? So we send this to them, they verify it, they sign it, and the buyers sign it as well. So that just is just one extra step for us to try to get to the closing table. Now, anything can happen during a real estate transaction. Someone could die, someone could lose a job, someone could open up a credit card. And that's the biggest thing, that if you take anything away from this, I want to make sure that when you're buying your real estate property, that you're not opening up any new credit cards, that you're not making any large payments. Those are two big no-nos. Okay. The last thing is it's so important for you to know your numbers. We talked about that in the beginning. So, I work with a lot of assisted livings, and people need to know how much they're going to be paying for the next X amount of years. They need to know how much they're going to be making in this transaction to go on with their lives. So we do what's called a net sheet. Okay. So that will tell us exactly, it will take out what the commissions are, what the taxes are, what you owe, what repairs might need to be put, the attorney's fees, any tax adjustments. And we'll be able to give you a net. And I always do a range, because we might, it's important to just do a range. And so we know how much we're at least minimum walking away with. So that's it. My name again is Meg Mutt with Century 21. I am the team leader and a real estate broker, and I am here to help you with any and all of your real estate needs, and I can't wait to talk to you. So give me a call, 609-598-2232. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll talk soon. Bye.